cyno valve. Okay. So if I was to just show you the screen from yesterday. So can everyone see now the screen with the MOP on?
Yes.
Good. So if we were to just take it into chief mode, chief access, so you can see now that the valve 311 and the valve 310, now this valve can be checked and tested via these buttons down here. Again, we need to have manual HPS, so we can just say manual. We have an indication here and also an indication here, as Francis has already talked through. So going on here, now we can cycle. So we can see it is already charged, kept closed. So we have a holding on circuit here. And if I was to cycle it open, then I would have an indication, an LED indication down in the engine room on the block, where I could also feel or hear probably a clicking, and the same if I was to cycle the open on the HCU 3. Okay. Is that clear, gentlemen? Okay. So any questions to do with this point so far? If not, we can move on. No questions? Okay. Excuse me. So moving on. Here we're looking at the double wall pipe. Now only on the 200 bar system do we have the double wall pipe for the transfer of the hydraulic power supply system oil to each individual hydraulics unit. So we can see that we're looking at the pipe itself. Zooming in if we can. So over here, we are able to see the flange, and it is going to be fixed onto the surface face of, or the mating surface of the hydraulic seal unit, but we have some flexible movement here on the outer and on the inner pipe. The inner pipe is the one that's going to be carrying the pressure, and on the outer side we will have something called residual pressure, because of course when the engine is running it's going to be flexing, so we don't want this to be a fixed or static one piece, that therefore we are allowing the flex to be transferred through the piping, so it won't snap or break and causing a horrific leak. So we are expecting some sort of leakage through the seals we see here into the outer pipe. Therefore we're also going to be lubricating the seals here, and also have residual, as I mentioned before, residual pressure on the outer part of the pipe itself. So we can also notice that when we're looking at the 200 bar system, then we'll have a indication in the hydraulic system screen on the mop where it says double wall pipe, and we should have some pressure there. What the pressure is something that I cannot answer directly. It is residual pressure. So if you do see some sort of indicated pressure in there, 7, 10 bar, then you're supposed to monitor it. Okay, if it starts to increase, so we have the indication here, the pressure, the pressure indicated here. If it starts to increase, then of course you need to ensure that you are doing checks around the system. And at what pressure does this valve 345 close? What pressure does valve 345 close? Mohammed, do you have an answer? Nope.
50 bar.
Sorry, what was that? 50 bar? 50 or 15?
50.
Yes, 50. So at 45 bar, you'll get an alarm, and at 50 bar, 50, you'll have the valve closing. The engine will not shut down, as now you have isolated the leak into the outer pipe, and therefore you are still maintaining the integrity of the system. However, this does mean that you need to monitor the system, and you need to ensure that at the next porting call, or the safe anchorage, or the safe point in time, that you do this hydraulic cylinder unit leak detection. Only again on the 200 bar system because of the double wall pipe. So what you would do is you would ensure the engine is stationary, and of course you need to have system pressure. So you need to ensure that as you are checking the gauge, so you're putting your pressure gauge here onto this minimum mesh connection 435. Then you are closing the excuse me, then you are closing the valve 430, and then you are checking this leg here to see if you have any start again. Put the mini mesh connection here, close 430 and open 431, and then you're draining this part of the outer pipe. And then as you close 430, you'll be monitoring the pressure gauge to see if there's any increase in pressure. If there isn't, then you would move on to the next unit, and so on until you identify where the leak is. Sod's law, Murphy's law, whoever it is you pray to will tell you that it's always going to be the last but one part of the leg. I can see that Prit, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, the cursor is not being seen on the screen.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, it disappears when I zoom in. Thank you for that. Can you see the hand? Is it okay?
I can see that now.
Yeah, when I zoom in, the red dot disappears and I get this hand. It is quite annoying. There's nothing I can do about that, gents. So here, again, the valve 345 closes at 50 bar, and then at the engine will continue to run, and at a safe point in time, you would do this check. That means that you would attach a gauge at 435, monitor the pressure, close 430 here, and then open 431, and you are draining this leg here. As soon as you close 431, then you will monitor the pressure to see if it increases. If it doesn't, then you know that there is no residual pressure in this leg here, so the leak is not in this double wall pipe. And then you would do the same procedure on to the next and the next and the next until you identify where the leak is. Okay? Questions? No. Perfect. So the distribution block. Looking at the distribution block here, we have the front side view and the back side view. It is just a chunk of metal with a series of bores, ports, and channels. This is because we haven't, keeping the cost down, we haven't used a tool that can drill around corners and make nice funky shapes. We are just using straight drill throughs, and you can see that this is a 200 bar system due to the yellow large bore here, where we can see that they have the flange face for the double wall pipe. So this is what's going to be carrying the main system pressure here, and then you can see that we have high and low pressure with internal leakages. So the red and the blue is your high and low pressure lines, and the light blue will show you your leakages. Okay, so we have here a flange face for your booster, for your exhaust valve actuator. Here we would probably have your fever and your ME lubricator